There's a procedure going on out there that we really need to nip in the bud and to stop. So let's just drop that language.
I'm Jason Miller, a full-time professional flight instructor. On the Finer Points channel, you can join me as I bring you tips and tricks that I've learned from 20 years on the flight line.
Hello aviators, welcome back to the Finer Points. In this video, we're going to talk yet again about how to enter the traffic pattern at non-towered fields. There is still a lot of confusion around this topic, and I would like to clear it up once and for all. Before we do that though, I want to let you know there is a free Wings Credit webinar coming up this Thursday, August 22nd at 5 p.m. Just visit learnthefinerpoints.com to register free. I'm joined by Alaskan floatplane pilot Dion Mitten. We're just going to sit down and chat about all of the things that they learn in Alaska beyond the ACS that help them stay safe and confident each summer, and stuff that we can do here in the lower 48. What exercises, what maneuvers, what drills, what things will take our skills beyond the ACS. That's this Thursday, 5 p.m., August 22nd. Now, let's talk about non-towered field pattern entries. There is a document you should be familiar with. It is FAA Advisory Circular 9066 Charlie. I believe it was published in 2023, and this is the latest guidance that we have on how we should be doing this, and they lay out two options, which I will show you in just a moment. But the options are essentially either you're going to overfly the traffic pattern above traffic pattern altitude and then maneuver out to the pattern side, descend, and come in on a straight 45-degree leg that intersects the downwind at the midfield point, or you're going to come from the non-pattern side, from the dead side, at TPA, fly directly across the middle of the runway and turn into the downwind as traffic allows. All right, now before we even talk about those, just remember that all of these procedures at non-towered fields are designed to separate airplanes. The big thing that we're worried about here is hitting another airplane. So what can we do? What procedures should we adopt that will minimize the possibility of that happening? And that's what these two procedures are designed to do. I want to remind you of that because as we look at this first one where we're meant to overfly the traffic pattern altitude, I am going to disagree with the FAA on the point of being 500 feet above the pattern. All right, even in the AC where they lay this out, they say that turbine aircraft and large aircraft are found 500 feet above the pattern. So if we're trying not to hit other airplanes, let's make that 1,000. Okay, so can we just switch that to 1,000 feet above pattern altitude? It's what I've always taught. It's what I've always been taught. I know the FAA wrote 500, but I think they made a mistake, and if they're listening, I think they should make that 1,000 rather than put aircraft at the same altitude that you're going to find turbine and large aircraft at some airport. All right, so that's the main thing. However, you know, if you do that 1,000 feet above the traffic pattern, you've got all the time in the world. You're well clear of traffic if you hold that altitude. You can circle up there. I call it a reconnaissance mission, and here's how that procedure should look. Here we are today at Nevada County Airport. This is in Grass Valley, California. We're going to do our little overflight here. I don't know if you guys, I'll do a little bang to the left. I'm not sure if you guys can actually see the airport or not. See if I do a little circle over it. But here we are 1,000 feet above. We're a little bit more than 1,000 feet above the pattern. Looking down on the airport, you can see the runway's in good condition. We can get a visual indication of the windsock, all the things that I just mentioned. Now, at this airport for runway 25, there is left traffic. All right, so we're flying toward the traffic pattern now. To get into the traffic pattern here, we need to go well into the traffic side. You know, the side of the airport the traffic pattern is on. In this case, that is to the south. And I will tell you guys, the most common error, by far, the error that everybody makes that I don't want you to make, is that they don't go far enough here. They go maybe a mile or two out. They're basically still in the area of the traffic pattern when they maneuver to enter it. So remember, if you're choosing this entry and you want to come in on that 45-degree angle that we discussed in the briefing, you have to make sure that you allow enough time for us to really get well clear of the traffic pattern on the pattern side of the airport. And here we're established on a 45 now, and that was like, I wouldn't have wanted to cut that any closer, to my point, right? I'm sitting here telling you guys how far we need to go to the south and how the common error is nobody goes far enough. And I kind of just barely went far enough, right? Today was one of those days where we were flying into the wind as we were trying to get out far enough to make this a nice, clean 45. But here we are now, we're at pattern altitude. Our before landing checklist has been done at this point, and we're inbound to intersect the midpoint of the downwind leg right at midfield.
Now, if you're doing the other one, the midfield downwind entry, okay, this is where you need to cross midfield. Okay, you need to be at pattern altitude. You're coming from the non-pattern side and from the dead side. Cross midfield, traffic permitting, you maneuver straight across the middle of the airport, get your little mini reconnaissance mission done, keep your eyes out for traffic, and turn into the downwind directly as traffic allows.
All right, you guys, let's look at another entry. Let's imagine we're coming to Nevada County, but we're coming from the north, so we're on the wrong side, right? We're on the opposite side of the airport that the traffic pattern is. In this case, we're going to choose a midfield downwind entry, all right? And we're going to get to TPA, that's the first thing. And we're going to cross overhead the airport, ideally at the midpoint, midfield downwind entry. We're going to cross overhead the airport and turn directly into the downwind, traffic permitting. Now, in this case, you do get some kind of reconnaissance mission. It's maybe abbreviated because as you're coming over the top of the field, you're really looking for other aircraft in the pattern. But if you can effectively avoid traffic and divide your attention, this entry also gives you an opportunity to look down at the condition of the runway, to get a visual indication of the wind, to do all of the other things that our first original reconnaissance mission allowed you to do, except perhaps maybe identify all the traffic before you go down there and mix with them. Because here you are at pattern altitude, you're looking out right to left. Nevada County traffic, Skyhawk 90924 Victor, midfield downwind entry runway 25, Nevada County. All right, so you announce the midfield downwind entry, you come over the top of the airport at pattern altitude, right over the middle of the runway, and as traffic permits, you turn directly into the downwind. Okay, just like that. Nevada County traffic, Skyhawk 90924 Victor, downwind, runway 25, Nevada County. There we go, boom, and we're in the downwind.
All right, now here's the confusion. The word teardrop is a problem for me, okay? So we already talked about being 1,000 feet above the pattern, but there is certain language you don't use in aviation. When I'm teaching you to land, I would never tell you to push the nose down. I might tell you to release your back pressure. I might tell you to flatten your pitch. I might say a little forward pressure, something like that, but I'm not gonna tell you to pitch down, not close to the runway. I mean, even if it's what I want you to do, because the problem is you might pitch down so fast that you start to porpoise, right? You hear the words pitch down, and it, in your mind, it does that. So when we say the word teardrop, we are really falling victim to the most common error of this maneuver. And I can tell you, after teaching this for decades, nobody flies wide enough on the pattern side after doing the overflight. It's as common as having to say right rudder. I have to tell people, be patient, be patient. We talk about their ground speed. I say, remember, you're into a wind here, you're doing 90 knots. That's probably 70 knots over the ground. We have to do this for 2 full minutes in this direction. We have to get 2 miles wide of the pattern, right? You go blue in the face talking about how people should maneuver further and further away from the pattern, because the reality is everybody cuts that short. They overflew the runway in their mind a few minutes ago, and then they're motoring along. Now they're over the pattern, but I'm not sure they're aware of it. And they go a little bit further, and then they make that teardrop turn, so they're lowering a wing in a high wing airplane and making a descending right turn toward the 45 where it'll intersect the downwind. It's extremely dangerous. That's where all the airplanes are. There are golden rules in the traffic pattern for collision avoidance. We never descend into the downwind, and we always clear the blind spot in high wing airplanes before we turn. The word teardrop is problematic for me, and if someone from ForeFlight is listening, please ditch that language. You're the last ones, other than a Bold Method article that's stuck on the
web from 2012. The FAA doesn't use the language teardrop. I couldn't find it in any of their prior texts, 2007, 1980, 2012, the current 2023 Airplane Flying Handbook, the advisory circular. None of it talks about a teardrop. So let's just drop that language. Anyway, give that some thought. Check out the advisory circular. Make sure you join Dion and I this coming Thursday for this free webinar. This is the first in a back-to-school series we're doing throughout the fall, the fourth Thursday of every month, all the way through Christmas, so check that out. Also get a free 3-day trial of our ground school app. Leave a comment below if there's a video you'd like to see. Make sure you hit the like button, hit that little alert bell, and subscribe to the channel so you get notified of uploads. But most importantly, until I see you guys again, be safe and fly your best.